Hello, Vitalik.
Hello, Nikita. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Thank you.
Uh, yeah, so I just want to continue our first discussion, and actually, these are the questions even from the first part of this dialogue, Parmenides, where they discuss uh, the one when it exists. So what is and yeah, so I just want to read it, this premise, so we can discuss it. Yeah.
Mhm.
What is one? Would not it be one in which not a single part is missing? Then in both cases, the one would consist of parts as a whole and in something that has a parts. And so in both cases, one would be many, not one. Therefore, if the one is truly one, it will not be a whole and will not have a parts. Therefore, having no parts at all, it can have neither beginning nor end nor middle, for all of this would already be its parts. Beginning and end is the limit of everything, thus one is limitless if it doesn't have the beginning and end. If one has part, it would be many. So it would participate in some. So if it would participate in some figure, rectilinear or rounded,
Mhm.
yeah. So if it has parts, it would be many. So yeah, in the case if it participate in some figure, rectilinear or rounded, uh, yeah, I think I just missed some part here. I think they not. If it
I think you missed because this what you have read before, it was in the end, and this what you're reading now, it was in the beginning. I think it's a little bit mixed, misplaced it, but it's the sequence of these propositions.
yeah, I think this is located in other, it would touch it with parts, and located it in thyself, it would round itself. But it's impossible if something was located in anything and wasn't rounded by it. This rounded and that what surrounding it would be distinct entities, because one could not feel and evoke these states at the same time. And being so, it could not be in thyself or in any other. So I think I just try to explain what they're talking about. So it is like what actually I wanted to discuss. That he is mentioning here the law of contradiction, because if one, why so he's saying basically one cannot be in itself and in the other. And
Mhm.
he explaining, yeah, because it could not be in thyself and in the other, because it should be some figure that is uh, touching, like some kind of figure, like rectangular
Mhm.
or a circle, which touches other by its parts. And before they said that one does not have parts. So this is why one cannot be in the other, and why it cannot be in thyself, because it also will be surrounding itself, and the one could not feel this surrounding and evoke this at the same time. So this is what they're talking about.
You see how complicated it sounds, and how actually when you if you try to talk like this in the, let's say, um, in this theater, in this amphitheater, to in front of many people, they would start throwing apples, rotten apples at you, and tomatoes,
Yeah,
because it's very difficult. It becomes round, nothing. What? So it's
yeah.
it's. Mhm. And that's why I think philosophy is so much hate. I mean, there is a certain degree of hatred towards philosophy, or at least unacceptance, yeah, amongst young people or others. We know about it. They say that stop philosophizing and start being practical because during your philosophizing about this in the others in the or in this somebody is robbing you or taking your money or your wife or or something else. So but again, I want to emphasize, even though it looks a little bit complicated, thanks to all of these controversies, thanks to all of this exercise, of these intellectual exercises, we have everything which surrounds us.
Hmm.
This is, and as we mentioned also in the video from the previous time, this dialogue should not be taken as a mysterious, maybe, I mean, at least as I understand it, it shouldn't be taken as a mysterious religious or sacral manuscript where you will find some answers to your to the divine laws or something, because it looks like that one is not in the others, and something like is covered with a veil of mystery and so on. This dialogue is pure exercise of logic as I see it.
Hmm.
Also, this dialogue is a I would say an exercise for the students of the theory of the forms. And he also uses great philosophers like Parmenides as his opponent to refute his own theory. How this is, I would say, how would it's the same how if you would right now to ChatGPT and ask him, please refute my theory as you are Parmenides, as you are Parmenides, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
So he tries to put it in his place, using his perspective from his theory from the one, and let's see how it goes, how it applies to the forms. And we have
Yeah, we
mhm.
discussed this, I think,
Exactly. Yes.
in the
Yes.
first part.
Yeah.
So maybe either you can explain, like
Yeah.
paraphrase what this premise, how you see it,
Hmm.
because maybe I don't know, maybe I explained it too complicated, but or like whatsoever. So and maybe you can also just explain the premise, and we can discuss it.
Yeah, I will try to again. Maybe they do 3,000 mistakes, so it is just a humble attempt. Can you put my this presentation on the uh-huh that I can also just follow this, and just if you can start it, or maybe I think it's okay like that. Like a full screen. Can you put a full screen? No. Ah, it's okay. I think, yeah, it's no problem.
Yeah,
So if you
because
can
it
just
doesn't
uh-huh.
allow me to open.
Just leave it. Yeah, just put it first, like the first slide there. This logic.
Mm-hmm.
No, one more slide ahead. Yeah, exactly. So first of all, I will start that it's a very advisable to start any kind of philosophy book from logic, I would say, or at least a small course of logic. For the Russian speaking or Ukrainian speaking or a community, there is a very nice book which was written by Soviet librarian Povarnin. I think you would find straight away this in the internet, and he wrote a very nice book which is called Logica, and it's like 70 pages book, and it before it actually was one of the subjects in the school. You had to have this at least some kind of logic basic knowledge in order to start more advanced topics, let's say like geometry or mathematics and so on, higher mathematics, I mean. But for the English speaking community, I recommend this book, Logic, Stan Baronet by Oxford. This is a very nice book, plenty of exercises, and it will give you a nice big background to any kind of philosophy, and not only philosophy but also law, because any kind of law, arguments, predicaments, they're all based on logic, yeah, and that's why later on you have the um, like these sentences. They are not they're I would say logical uh, arguments which follow from the premises. Anyway, so after having introduced this book, can you press another slide?
Mhm.
Uh, so logic in itself is divided in three branches. We would say categorical syllogism, which we are going to use today because they're the most pictures. It's the easiest to see it by the eyes, and understand it because you can see as sets. Then you have the another branch. It's called like just give me a second. How it's in English. Uh, Predicate logic, and then you have natural deduction. Or we can divide it as in formal logic, and inductive logic. And predicate logic and natural deduction, this which we use in mathematics. You cannot use a lot of pictures there. You need to be quite rigorous, and it's quite dry arguments. So categorical syllogism. All of us know of this. Socrates is a human. All humans are mammals, so Socrates is a mammal. Yeah. So there are four main syllogism. A, which is called all A's are P. E, which is negative, no S are P. Then you have this particular, positive, some S are P, and negative particular, some S are not P. And you see that this kind of diagrams, they are called Venn diagrams. So in our when we are going to dissect the dialogue, I will give only two examples later on. We are going to build these circles, to draw these circles, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
So, for example, you have an argument, all SRP. It means that you are going to shade the territory of the circle S, because circle S represents the whole set of S. Yeah, you can put there, let's say, as Socrates. So imagine as Socrates as a thing, as a set S. And then you have is a human, is a predicate here, yeah, another circle uh, also represent a set. So when you say all S are P, you mean that everything which is inside the S will be inside the P. You follow my idea, yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's why you shade the other part. So when you shade it, you say nothing is there. So everything which is in S, you see this intersection will be inside the P.
Mhm.
This is one argument. Then you say that no SRP. It means they don't have anything in common. So that's why you shade this one, and you see that S and P is as they are in different spaces. Let's say, yeah. You see that this white and white there in this second E, no
Mhm.
SRP. They don't have any elements in common. Then you see some SRP and you see this cross there. It means that some element of S are inside P. We don't know all or not all, but at least one exists who are inside the P. And some S are not P, at least one element in S which is not inside the P. This is only what we know. We can pass to another slide. So let's normally any kind of syllogism is built on a very um, strict structure. You have first premise, you have second premise, and you have conclusion. All dialogue with what we have here with Socrates, we have plenty of premises, yeah, but the conclusions are omitted, and it's called sorit in logic. When you don't follow the structure, but you are like, okay, all Socrates is human, humans are mammals, so you don't say Socrates is a mammal, yeah? You just omit it and follow another premise. And then on the end, you would end up with a conclusion. So, but for the simple syllogism with two premises, you are going to use um, three circles. So you see that, for example, S, M, and P. So you have uh, predicate, you have middle term, and you have subject. Yes,
Hmm.
there. So this for S and M, this is the first premise. M and P is the second premise. And then you would get a conclusion about S and P. And as you mentioned before, M should never change the connotation. So M middle term unites these other two premises and gives you some kind of a conclusion. Yeah. All right. So we can pass ahead. Just a small just a small remark about the guy who actually invented these diagrams. It was John Venn, and you see he died not so long ago in 1923. Before actually, I would say that I would also want to mention this kind of logic propositions. They were first introduced by Aristoteles in his book Organon, but there was no pictures representation. They were it. I think it's I may be mistaken, but it's around 264, I think, if not mistaken, different types of syllogism. And like Barbara and so on, they are called like this. Barbara, it means that you have first premise A, second premise A conclusion also is A, as we had showed on the second slide. But John Venn was the first guy who actually showed that this can be represented as a formula. You don't have to memorize what 264 different syllogism. Because if you take Roman orators, let's say like uh, I forgot this. Who was with Caesar? This I'm very bad with names. He killed him. Caesar,
Cicero?
Ciceron. Thank you very much. Yes. So Ciceron, all of them, like an orator, they were when they were giving their speeches, they were using the syllogism structure,
Hmm.
and always, and there were other people, who were, let's say, following the thread, and they had tables, more or less we can call them like tables, and okay, this is this number 264. Okay, conclusion is right. So this his ideas were they were not, let's say, some kind of sophisms. Yeah, it was a very nice and let's say uh, an argument which had a proper background. All right, so we can we can go to another slide now. This is a text from on the left. This is a text from the dialogue, and this
Hmm.
I also recommend to the English community to read to take the translation of Bennett. It's I think he was like 20th or 19th century. It's available for free in archive.org, and it's because it also has commentaries on the sites, so you can follow the if you're if you have lost the path
You
of
have lost yourself.
yeah of yours yourself, this guy will with his commentaries will try to shed some light. Anyway, let's look in the text what Parmenides says. We start from this what you from the beginning from your presentation. Yeah. uh if one is, he said, the one cannot be many. Impossible. Then the one cannot have parts and cannot be a whole. Why not? Because every part is a part of a whole. Is it not? Yes. And what is a whole? Would not that one of which no part is wanted to be a whole? Certainly. Then, in either case, the one would be made of parts, both as being as a whole and also as having the parts. To be sure. In either case, the one would be many and not one. True. But sure it ought be one and not many. It ought blah blah blah, all this information what we have to take for ourselves, that in this, because all dialogue is divided in four different biggest premises. First it talks about the one, then it talks about the others, and then it shifts the premise about the one and about the others. And then I see I have here my hand, but I'm and So the first now starts the real dialogue because before it was prologue.
Mm-hmm.
In this part, he gives a definition. At the definition of one, and parting from this definition, he is going to deduce certain conclusions. On the right side, I have written this. The one is identical, is an identical, here I missed an identical entity. Yeah, sorry for the grammar. So the one does not have parts. We have to remember about this is definition. So it doesn't have any attributes. So in this kind of connotation, not only parts as a physical thing or as an area or as a length or something, it doesn't have also attributes. So no characteristic. It cannot be, let's say, hot, cold, anything. It doesn't have qualities. The one is only one, nothing more. Imagine that in mathematics, for example, in mathematics, you have an empty set. It's the same one as Parmenides works. So it's not something which doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
In mathematics, the empty set is a part of every set, but there is nothing there. You cannot say anything about the empty set. Coming back to geometry, back to Euclidus. In the definitions, he gives the definition of the point. The point is something which doesn't have length, doesn't have width, and doesn't have what was it? Another one, length or width, length, and thickness. What kind of definition is this? And then you have all 3,500 million of geometry theorems and so on. But this is a real definition which was given 2,000 years ago. Here, our friend Plato gives the same definition. One, let's give a definition that one is only one and nothing more. The same definition gave also Parmenides to his one. But Parmenides, on the other hand, had deduced that the one is a sphere, which is, you remember in the last one we talked about, it's something which is in itself and so on. So all the premises, all the conclusions which we are going to follow later on, they follow um, the path which was actually trotted by Parmenides before in his book. So what I'm talking about, first is the limit. So he will give you some kind of conclusions about the limit. Another one, he will give you about the figure or extension. The third one, he will give you about the place, movement, or restlessness. And then he will give you also a definition about its difference or its identity to itself. And this will be 5 different premises which he would follow in all other arguments along the whole dialogue. Yeah. Okay. I think we can follow. We can switch to the other slide. Now we read. But if it has no parts, it will have neither beginning, middle, or nor end. For this would not, for this would of course be parts of it, right? But then again, a beginning, end, an end, and the limits of everything, certainly. Then the one having neither beginning nor end is unlimited. Yes, unlimited. Okay, sounds a little bit again confusing, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Let's again dissect what we have from this from this side. That's why I say this is a dialogue, or not. This is an exercise not only for his students but also for us. How to approach him, this text. What first premise we can find? That something that has beginning, middle, and end is something that is limited. I have shown it in number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Because you
Yeah.
see, this is inside the first premise. You see there.
Mm-hmm.
No parts, it will never beginning, middle, or end. For this would of course be parts of it. If you put it in a proper way, you would get the first premise. Something that has beginning, middle, and end is something that is limited. We have first premise. Second premise, something that is limited is something that has parts. We look at the second sentence. Beginning and end are limits of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we can try to get some conclusion. Then we draw on the right these circles over there. Yeah. So we have first premise, beginning, end, and limited. Yes.
Yeah.
So I have shaded it in the color purple.
Mm-hmm.
It means the beginning, middle, and end inside the limited. Okay, first premise. Second premise, that which has no parts, and this is the definition. Yeah.
Yeah.
And limited. Yeah. So we see that something is limited is inside the what in something that which has parts.
Okay.
I'm sorry, a little bit heavy, yeah. But you see the colors.
Yeah.
When I shade it yellow, it means that limited inside which has no parts. When I shade it purple, it means beginning, middle, and end inside the limited.
Yeah.
So what kind of conclusion we can actually draw? Ergo, it means from the Latin conclusion. Something that has beginning, middle, and part is something that is limited. Another way, if we will draw circles, we are going to find that beginning and middle is inside the limited, and limited is inside the parts. The something which has the parts. So we can actually give that something that has beginning, middle, and parts is something that is limited. Okay, let's go to another slide. We continue from the same dialogue. So now we are going to rewrite our first conclusion because with ergo it means
Sorry. Okay.
yeah. So we have our first conclusion that something that has beginning is something that has parts. Yeah.
Yeah, because just a little bit.
To the right, I think. Yeah. Mhm. So can you just go back to the slide for the previous slide?
Mhm.
Number 3 is our conclusion. Okay. So number 2, second slide. This second slide you can put next one. Yeah. Mhm. So our conclusion that nothing has parts is the one. Again, from where did I take it? I took it from the first definition when they have agreed that one is something which doesn't have parts, doesn't have qualities, doesn't have any kind of characteristic or attributes. So we can put it as this way. We are not going inside. I have showed on the second slide. You draw these circles, and you see what kind of conclusion you can draw. That the one you see this and the conclusion that it is white and white. They don't have nothing in common. So
Mhm.
the one is not something that which has part. I'm sorry, where is this? No, that beginning, middle, and end is nothing. Has nothing to do with the one. So one and something which has beginning, middle, and end is completely different things. They have nothing together. So this is a conclusion that which they draw. And a second conclusion they also draw that one is that something that doesn't have limits.
Mhm.
If you go to another one, second one, then we pass to another part of the dialogue. You remember what you said about the form of the forms, yeah, the figure, circle, and line. Again, you see in this dialogue, in this part, I'm sorry, he has given the definition of circle and line. Because round is that of which all extreme points are equidistant from the center. This is
Mhm.
circle. Straight line of which the center intercepts the view of the extremes. Second definition. Bien. Then he says also that uh, the figure is there are only two types of figures according to Plato. Something which is round and something which is straight. So this is identical. He puts like identical sign there. Yeah.
Mhm.
And but something that has circle and some and circle and line, they have the parts. Yeah, so they are inside something which has the parts. Coming back to our definition, we have defined that one and something which has the parts, they are different. So we drew conclusion again that the one is not the circle, the one is not the figure, so the one is doesn't have the figure. I'm sorry, the one that's not circle is not line, so it's not a figure. That's why I put circle and line equals to figure. And you see this white space in this in the circle with circle and line and figure, and the one there are two spaces. They have nothing in common.
Mm-hmm.
So the one is not the feature. And it's quite curious if you go to the last slide to talk about if it's true that feature is only line or it's circle, or because we have very other nice curves here. We have something which is ellipse. We have we have spirals. We have so many features. We have some kind of completely different. No, I mean indefinite variety of lines and
Mm-hmm.
trajectories. But here, actually, we can say that Plato was actually right because any in the geometry, in the especially in this what is the name differential geometry, you have a definition of the radius of the curvature. It means that every point on any kind of line, if it's an ellipse or any kind of trajectory, you can always draw a circle which is going to be tangent to it. So they will share the tangent line together, and another point which will tend to this point of the tangency. Anyway, in other words, it means that any kind of trajectory consists of the infinite number of circles who are tangent to it. So any kind of trajectory, any kind of form of line is actually is a infinite set of circles. So Plato was not wrong there. If you look on the if you pass to the space, it will be spheres. Any kind of surface has a tangent sphere in it, in any kind of point. And you can actually form this, you can think about it in a limiting position that any kind of figure is actually a huge set of spheres or circles. So it's quite licit. And I put also a small feature about ships because it's the same there. You see that method
Mm-hmm.
center is the center of this circle of curvature. So when we, it's, the seafarers calculate stability, this is what we are looking for. This is what we are actually searching for, this method center. And the method center, this is the circle, this is the center of circle of curvature. This is the circle of which Plato was talking. So any moment when we are calculating this, we're going back to Plato, to his dialogue Parmenides. So we can follow. We can, if you have a text, we can go a little bit because I have finished. I didn't want to because it's quite heavy, yeah. To go to 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 draw the an example for each part of which you have described. But you
Yeah.
see, we have already discussed what we have discussed.
So the premise is that it could not be uh, in thyself, in itself, and
Oh,
in the
yeah.
other.
And it's this is the other part. So we have proved now that we cannot say about the one that it has figure. We have proved why? Because we have proved that the one doesn't have limit. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't have beginning, end, and the middle. And this is again doesn't have figure. Okay. Now we are going to prove that it doesn't have the. It's not in itself and it's not in the others. What it doesn't mean to be in the other. It means you are going to have the points of tangencies. Yes, you are going to touch something,
Yeah.
tangency. But assuming that you have points of tangencies, it means that you are having the parts. But we
Yeah,
have
that's
said in
true.
the definition there are no parts. So it cannot have any, and so it cannot be in nothing more. Okay, can it be in itself? Let's look what it does it mean to be itself. It means that you are surrounding and you're surrounded at the same time. It's in the dialogue there. I'm just talking, just paraphrasing it. Not,
Yeah.
it's not so boring. Okay, to surround and to be surrounded, I'm sorry, it means two things, two attributes. But we have said that to one cannot be ascribed nothing except the one. So again, we cannot say that the one is in itself. All right. What was the next one? One is money would okay, rectilinear and Fudger. Um, you see, this is the last which I have talked about that it's touched and with the others. And then give me a second. Mm, look here. Um, yes, the next point, the next premise is about the movement and about the to being in a state of uh, yeah, no movement, yeah, tranquil,
Yeah,
to be
wait a bit.
rest.
Yeah, because I actually, before we start discussing the next one,
Yes.
I actually want to also say about this still. So, about what he's saying. So the one could when he's saying that he cannot surround and cannot be surrounded, so the one could not feel and evoke the same state. So he is saying about the law of contradiction, right? So
Mhm.
that the A cannot be not A. And I want to talk a little bit about this. Because, to show me differences about between the Western culture and the Eastern culture, and also how it's resolved in modern world, because in Aristotelian logic, which we can also see here that you mentioned, that law is contradiction, saying that A cannot be not A. So the one could not feel and evoke the same state, right? But there are different kinds of logic. So, for example, the paradoxical logic, which evolved in Chinese mainly and Indian thinking, but it is also found in philosophy of Heraclitus, but I never actually read him. I don't know what he was talking about. Maybe if you know him, you can explain later. But so in paradoxical logic, it is possible that A, it like I've written here, so it is not and it is and it is not. Sorry. So,
Exactly.
and the most famous thing in Chinese philosophy, it is coming from Taoism, that the Tao that can be spoken, that is not internal Tao, but more maybe closer to us and to our time, was actually Sigmund Freud, who first started introducing this in practice, and uh, he introduced this ambivalence. For example, we can feel the love and the hatred
Hatred.
to
Yes.
the same person.
Yes.
And in Vedantic philosophy, also the duality is not the ultimate reality itself, but the conception or the mode of operation of our mind. So divide into good and bad and so on. But speaking about our Western world, also how it is resolved, it is quantum physics. So before we all were thinking like Aristotle that A it is only A and not something else, but actually like in quantum paradox, the photon of light can be both the wave and the particle. So it can be two different things at the same time.
Well, I would disagree here with you a little bit because I think that light, you see, light and yes, you said as a wave, as a particle, to being a wave, to be a wave does not contradict or does not say that you can be a particle, or to be a particle doesn't say that you cannot be a wave. Physics never said about that, actually.
What
It
do
does not. I mean, for example, that it's not they do not exclude each other. These two definitions, these two states, being a wave and being a particle. Because later on, as we found, the light was had both these qualities of being a wave and being a particle. In
Yes, but
this,
how it can be at the same moment, at the same given time of moment, two things at the same time? That's the thing.
because as you said, love and hatred, it can be.
Yeah. So that's same point. So love and hatred. So one can evoke, like not evoke, but be two things at the same time. So surrounding and be surrounded.
Yeah, but the thing is that the thing is here, when you say about that A is B, A cannot be A, it cannot be not A. Yeah, this is like which is not possible. This is what Aristotle actually says. And this is what is it meant by this? That uh, you divide the whole world into categories, A and not A. So imagine that if you say that, for example, that life and hatred, let's say when you say that they are not, how can it be that they are incompatible? Yeah, but they are compatible. It's our ignorance that we think that they are incompatible. Because we can say that love and hatred they're emotions, and a human being is a being who is capable of feeling two emotions at the same time,
No, but it's two same person. I mean, not two emotions at the
to
same
even to
time.
the same person. Or as
But it
Jews, when you
but
when
it
it's
contradicts Aristoteles because life and hatred they are if you draw your diagram
yeah,
they are not in the
excluding each other.
yes exactly.
But this is not Aristotle didn't say this. This is what our morality teaches us. This is the thing.
And if we speak about the mm, particle and the wave,
Exactly. I think this is physical definition. This is, as I say, this is a lack of information before. Because when we say love and hatred are two different things, they have nothing in common. This is already a logical mistake. Because they have in common a lot. Yeah, as we say that love and hatred, I love you and I hate you, it's one small yeah, pass from this. You see what I'm trying to say to you? That uh, when we the law is a law, it's a form how to apply it, but then we put inside information which we try to apply this law. With love and hatred we say that they are incompatible, but they are compatible. As the same with wave and particle, they thought before that it's not compatible. Yeah, that if you are a wave you are not a particle, if you are a particle you are not a wave. But
yeah,
from where did it
because the wave is not a matter and the particle is the matter. So this is the
Yeah, but then but when they started looking with a microscope more, more deeper and deeper and deeper, they didn't find the matter at all.
yeah,
You
exactly.
see?
Yeah,
Exactly.
but no, but the thing is, the duality is that it can be a matter, and
Yes.
it can be there is
Yes.
no matter, so it is the
Yes.
frequency, right? So,
Um,
and this same thing, it exhibits the different kind of properties at the same
I,
time, and this is the duality.
Mhm.
This is the paradox.
I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I just try to say that if you look at your thing, Tao that can be spoken is not the internal Tao. Yeah. So what I mean by this, we are coming back to the to Parmenides. Maybe everything is something is really the one. There is no such thing as there's things which are not compatible because they are already existing in the world. You see what I mean? If they are already manifested, if there already is death and life and particle, not particle and matter, so there is not such a thing as incompatible and
I
incompatible. Uh-huh.
I just wanna, yeah, I am not about the law of contradiction that it is the one, yes, I agree, but that in the real world situation, like for
Yeah.
example, the physics, the law of non-contradiction is really broken, and this is like the premise of the quantum physics. So the one can be two things at the same time, and maybe many things, but we don't know that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Lack of information. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Or yeah, lack of information, or like our limitless, I don't know,
Yeah.
perception.
Limit. Yeah. The brain is limited.
Limited.
Exactly. Yeah. The capacity of trying to embrace all the ideas. Yeah. Mhm. It's a very interesting topic, actually, quite profound, because um, because you can put on a paper, you can divide the paper into parts and say this is A and this is B, and they have nothing in common. But they have they do have in common. Yeah, they have the line which divides them in common.
Yes,
So
exactly. With, for example, with love and hatred. Yeah, well, maybe I can tell with other words, because maybe there are actually no such things that are really incompatible, because again, if we take the polarity of love and hatred, it's relative concepts which can be like always in some kind of motion, and they are not static as like A and B, and incompatible.
you remember the sign of Tao, yeah? When you have this the moon divided in two, and you have a small dot there and small dot there, yeah? It's the
Yeah.
same. Yeah, and I think I also find it quite this idea quite nourishing, but that when you think about this, it gives you some kind of hope that okay, maybe not everything is like this, that these circles and you have to be strict and so on. Um, that there is some kind of harmony, there is some kind of um I know divine music, my divine melody, I would say, which penetrates all the things, and they are, they're in peace and and so on. That actually all this ondulance, on the surface, uh, this is our mind who creates it. And when we
Yeah,
become the
exactly.
mind, when we become the mind, we start seeing, oh, maybe this is, after, especially after some argument with your friend towards your girlfriend, and you go to you meditate a little bit, 5 minutes. Oh, maybe I was wrong, huh? Maybe I should have, uh, you know, kept silent, or yeah, or opposite. I would say I should have said something. So yeah, it's quite interesting, this
Yeah,
topic.
I totally agree with you about the harmony. I just wanna I think this is all for that question that we can take out from there. And yeah, I want to open the next one.
This is the
This is
next one. This
about,
is exactly the
yeah,
next one.
about the movement.
Yeah,
So, but there's basically same thing. Not the same,
exactly.
but I actually have a little bit different what to say also about the DAO. But so the question is, can one be at rest and at move at the same time? By
Yes.
moving, it would move from place to place and transform, or
Yes.
transform. By transforming, one would not be one.
Yeah.
If one would move by if one would move by relocating itself in space, it would spin around itself, remaining in place, or shift from one place to another.
Um, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, this is it. Do you want to say anything about this? Because I remember you did.
Mhm. So just without circles anymore, because I think the circles are quite heavy. The circles. I would try to think in the same in this way. Okay, we have now we have proved already that um, the one doesn't have any parts, and it doesn't have anything in common. Let's say any points tangent
Yeah,
to any kind of other points. But to move, you move from one side, from one place to another place. So you need to have some points in common with one place in order to move to another place. Yeah, then you would move this,
yeah,
because when the circle moves, he always, if it's a perfect circle and a perfect surface, they always have one point in common, and this point is constantly changing. Yeah.
yeah.
Exactly.
Agree.
So if you don't have this point of tangency, what kind of movement you can talk about? You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we can already discard this premise. Then we say about the rest. Um, Again, here is also quite interesting. Yeah, that he talks later on. I think here is a little bit. Yeah, you can spin around yourself. Is he talking about atoms who are spinning all the time? I'm sorry, electrons who are spinning around the atoms. Maybe he knew about it already.
I think
You-
he's mentioning the circle that
Yeah,
is fixed to a center. Yeah, exactly, like an
exactly.
atom and like electron spinning around the
Or
nucleus,
uh,
right?
or Earth around the sun.
Yeah.
There is no other movement, huh? So um, so we can say here as well that to be to to rest, to be, or let's say to not to move or to be at the rest, it means that you not going to, as we said, we are not going to shift, but also there's another kind of movement, let's say qualitative movement. You can change your qualities. You can be
Yeah.
dark, become white. You can be happy, become sad, and so on. But the one
Exactly.
doesn't have any quality. We have already mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
What does what in the in what she's going to change if she doesn't have anything to change? Okay, you can say, but one exists. Maybe the one can die. It's a change, yeah?
Yeah.
But it's not, because the one doesn't have even the existence. It's only one, nothing more.
Yeah, that's interesting actually.
And another point, uh, you can say that something is changing. So something, when it's changing, one part of it, it's still in that previous state, which it was before, a second or millisecond before, and then she's already part of it in the another state. Yeah, there is no instantaneous teleport. Always there is a milli moment when you are in the middle of this process.
Yeah.
Again, we're coming back to the same point, but one doesn't have any part. How can it then one part be in the past, let's say, and another part in the future? You see what I mean? So Parting from the definition, we see that everything is now sound and beautiful. Yeah.
I just wanna, on this example, or maybe not this one, also show how it is resolved in the Chinese concept about the one.
Mhm.
So the Tao gives birth to one gives birth to two gives birth to three, and three gives birth to 10,000 things. So the
Yeah.
Tao is the source that we cannot name and cannot discuss. And the one, it's what I want to talk a little bit, is the undivided unity, primordial chi. Two, polarity yin and yang, which we discussed a little bit. Three, it is also interesting, interaction or dynamic harmony, heaven, earth, or human, and yin, yang, or chi. And 10,000 thing is manifested world. So in the Chinese conception, the one, it is chi, and it's actually really resonates with quantum physics as well, because it agrees that before matter, it actually comes the energy which is cannot be created or cannot be destroyed. And same like ancient Chinese, they said that the qi is the premise of all transformation. So it's already contains all the things, and it takes countless form and always changing. And from this conception, like the transformation and movement is like the inherited quality of the world. So like in the previous one, he's saying that the one cannot move and cannot transform, the Parmenides, I mean. But here we see also like the opposite thing. But the change is like the only constant is actually a change and transformation, continuous one. And so the chi, it also takes this polarity of yin and yang. And yeah, I also want to refer to the previous example which we discussed in to like describe what is the yin and yang in the previous video. When, if you remember, when we discussed the eidoses, you said like the eidos of hot and cold, they don't interact in each other. But if we take like yin and yang, and also you remember that there are these dots, so they are like in the continuous flux. So because something can be a little bit hotter or a little bit colder, and the same like we discussed the twilights. It's not easy to
Exactly.
define what is twilight. It's
Yeah.
it's always like in the flux. And but also the yin and yang, they also contain each other, which is also interesting. So this little dot, it's not maybe so obvious on the example of hot and cold, how they can contain each other, but it is really interesting in concept, because from this thinking, the like Chinese medicine involved. And what it is saying that if qi contains everything, that means like if you're ill, for example, it is in you that the seed of health is already contained. So you can evoke it. And like that's your, we can say choice, but maybe something else. But also interesting how in Chinese concept it is explained. So like all the seeds already contained in qi, because the qi from qi, like all the things that get manifested from the one. And but some things, like in Western again physics, the transformation or the change is by like force exerted by external object on you. And like for example medicine, like something from coming from outside. But in Chinese, something they can elicit, like evoke this change, but by means of resonance, also like an energy, like the frequency. It's also like maybe it not a bit, but it itself is poetic. But again, in physics, in quantum physics, uh, the things also they interact through the resonance. So through resonance, let's say so the medicine itself is not like the that you're taking is not like the cure, but something. It could be anything. It could be some like a word of your friend, or you know, or from a doctor, or from you know, your loved person that can evoke this resonance in you and the state of health.
Yeah, impressive. Um, I actually wanted to add one thing here about this 10,000 things. Actually,
Hmm.
this is my girlfriend. Because she she speaks Chinese, yeah, so she explained to me about 10,000 things. The Chinese
Okay.
before they didn't have let's say a metaphor, or they didn't have any kind of definition of indefinite. So 10,000 things in something, not exactly 10,000 things. It's something which does it innumerable. If it's
Hmm.
10,000 things, it means already it's so many that you cannot count it. So that's why it's a little bit poetical, but also it has also a historical background. And yeah, I think here also that's because you see it's two differences, I would say, between Western and eastern side, as you said, because eastern side is always remained um, a little bit mystical, because you cannot explain everything with formulas and so on. Otherwise, the west side, uh, the west world, seemingly was very logical. But again, was it? Or this is how we were taught in the school, and then somebody studied philosophy in the or in university, or we are set, we are told in the common language, yeah, on the streets, and so on. Because if you look on the Plato's dialogue, they're full of mysteries, full of mysteries. He's not telling you anything about even this dialogue, Parmenides. Yeah, we are doing using logic and so on, and dissecting the arguments, but we are arriving to something mystical. There is something. If Yeah, you see what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah, I think actually, like what Plato did in this, in not only in this one, but in others dialogues, we can see that, like the ultimate reality, he is also showing like he is pushing logic to the limit, but you cannot arrive by the logic to the these definitions to
To the
the truth.
forms. You
Yeah,
cannot arrive to the forms. Yes. You can try to touch them with your mind or with your soul. Yeah. Uh, Again, in the dialogue, as we are having now, because when you yourself, you see there is no argument, there is nobody who actually can contradict you and so on. In the dialogue, you can actually see it's mirroring. Yeah, it's reflecting
yeah.
your in the other person. And yeah, you have some other part there, or
No, I think this is it for because yeah, I just wanted
yeah.
to what was it? Move and rest again, so it's kind of the duality, but yeah, I just on this example also just wanted to show the different perspective, but this is it I think for this question, and we can move to the next one. Yeah, I think this is the last one, yeah. So
Hmm.
the one
Yeah, I
cannot
think
be
yeah.
identical.
Hmm.
It's open. Identical to itself or to another.
Again, if you want to be identical to something itself or to the another, what do you need? You need to share common qualities or attributes. If you don't have nothing in common with anything in the world, what you are going to share? Nothing. So you cannot be identical, not even to yourself, because you need to have any kind of attribute, but you don't have any attribute. You see, it's if you part from definition and you let's say lower all of this um, I would say even noise which they're creating in the dialogue, you would have a definition and you, okay, it doesn't no part, no attribute, no characteristic. What can we talk about? But it's a good exercise to see how they come to the conclusion, because all of these circles which I have drawn before, you can have a nice big page of solid of this syllogism, 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 and so on, 3,000 circles, and then you would get, yes, we have that actually, if you are trying to combine the whole first premise which we have discussed today, the one, if you take the definition that the one is not doesn't have any attribute, characteristic, or quality, you cannot say that one is actually has a feature or it's not in the plane. Yeah. So you see, you remember about the Pythagoras, which I told you before, that you have a point, then you have a line, then you have a plane, then you have a three dimension, and then you have a body and a living soul. Yeah, because they thought that everything in this world is created from the small pyramids,
Mhm.
as every kind of plane is created from the triangular. So you can divide over all any kind of thing, you can divide in pyramids. It actually, which is geometry doing now. So this part of the dialogue says that if we say that there is nothing, no attribute to this one, as Parmenides told us, you remember in this the way of duality, when he was flying with his goddess, yeah, in the first part of our video, it means that we cannot say nothing about one. It doesn't have feature, it doesn't move, it doesn't stay in the rest, and actually it's not even equal to itself, and not even different from the other. So you cannot ascribe nothing to it. You cannot talk about it even now. And then, for example, if we are not going to talk about today about it, yeah, but if you let's move ahead with the dialogue, uh, you see that he says, okay, so this part of the reasoning did not give to us nothing. Let's
They,
assume a
they,
small.
they conclude that the one does not exist in the end.
Exactly, yeah. Let's take then that the next premise exists. Let's add a small quality to it, existence, and it says that the one is. And this is like existence in Greek in our world, yeah, when you because
Mhm.
yeah. And then they go with, okay, if we assume that one exists, what can we say about it? If it has at least one quality. And then they have their own conclusions. And then they pass to the others. And then they, again, with the first conclusion, and I mean, they pass to the others with the premise that the one doesn't have any attribute. Then they pass to the others with the one has the existence. And then the dialogue finishes.
Yeah, actually, I like at that point that I read it, there are a lot of still texts going on, and
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I am interested to what they actually arrive. But
To nothing. In the end, they arrive to as any kind of dialogue. They arrive to nothing. But
uh,
they have showed you how to. This is good example. How should a discussion actually how a discussion should take place? I hope it would take place between the politicians as well. Yeah, when they talk about it, say, okay, this is it. Let's go from this point to this point. No, it's actually quite in the book, which I have also this in the beginning I showed. I invite also to read it not only because of these stupid circles. You can skip these circles; you don't need them. Yeah, but the first two chapters are very actually useful to all of us because they talk about logical errors. They talk about petitio principii. They talk, and it actually, for example, when a politician talks about something and then he shifts the idea in the middle of his speech and gives a conclusion completely opposite which he talked from the before, and
Yeah,
other things.
I think, like for sure, this logic Aristotelian is useful in the like talks in political talks or like arguments, but like critical thinking, right? But also, I mean, we discussed that, like we mentioned that we could not describe the reality based on this because it based on the paradox, and maybe this is that Plato is trying to show. Actually, I don't know, but also I coming back to this picture and want to say how by different logic, for example, we can arrive also to the different conclusions, because in the paradoxical logic, there is a premise: it is not, and it
Exactly.
is, and it
Yes.
is not, right?
Yes. And this, you know what paradox means?
What?
Para means two. Doxa means opinion. It means
Mhm.
two opinions at the same time. That's why it's paradox. The two opinions which coexist. And this is actually Plato's world also. This doxa is one of the world which we are living with the world of opinions. We don't have knowledge. We have only opinions. Ourselves, others, and so on. This is our manifested world. This exactly which you talked about Tao.
Mhm.
After the three things, it was created 10,000 things, which are, changing reality and so on, but they are not the real one.